Crime, Wine, and Chaos contains adult language and graphic content. Listener discretion is advised.
Good morning, Chaos Kids. I'm Naomi.
I'm Amber, and this is Crime, Wine, and Chaos.
Hi, sister.
Hey, sister. How are you?
That's a loaded question.
No, tell me.
Well, I don't know what you or the Chaos Kids want to hear about more this week. You want to hear about how my hot flashes are back full force. You want to hear about my old lady hip that decided to go out on me yesterday for no apparent reason. Or you want to talk about my borderline stalker ex who does not understand the words "do not contact me."
D, all of the above?
But wait.
Oh.
We could talk about the fact that last night I went to see The Cure.
Stop it. You were there?
Concert. I was there.
Oh,
I was there.
God, Jelly. Tell me everything.
It was so good.
I love The Cure.
So good. It was so good. Yeah, it was so good. They rocked it. Robert's voice is as angelic as always. Nothing has been lost in the years, in the decades. It was amazing. I mean, our seats were not amazing, but I was a last minute invite to a group that had an extra ticket. So I'm not complaining about my seat. Okay.
No.
Climate Arena is gigantic. It holds over 18,000 people. So that wasn't great, but it was the aging goth scene is the best people watching.
Oh,
Sissy.
yeah, I bet. Holy shit. People dress up for the occasion.
Look, here's the thing.
Let me see if I still fit.
Oh, yeah. And let me tell you something. People don't think about this, but most Gen Xers are or at least a lot of Gen Xers are grandparents by now. So this was a low key crowd to say the least. But it was fun. I had a really good time.
I love that.
It was wonderful.
I love that you got to do that.
So that's my week. What's going on with you? Tell me about you.
Okay. Well, we missed the hip replacement and night sweats. We're skimming. We're not going to talk about that.
No, let's just keep going.
Well, I went to Seaside over the weekend, which I'd never been.
Right.
I didn't know that a whole chunk of it is basically an ongoing carnival.
Mm-hmm.
And it was super people-y. Here's the thing. I'm not good. You would think I would learn my lesson that I need to research where I'm going instead of just saying oh, I've never been to that town.
Let's just go.
Yeah. So it was cool. But then I had low grade, vertigo all weekend.
Oh,
and really sucked because the only thing that I wanted to, not the only thing, but the one thing that was I ain't leaving this place without singing the blues was they have these paddle boats that are giant swans. And I was oh, I'm doing that. God. But I wasn't going to get on the water with vertigo. So I didn't get to do it.
Well, I'm sorry, sissy.
That's okay.
But you still had a good weekend, yeah?
I did have a good
weekend. You got out of town.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Yeah. Good.
It's beautiful.
Good.
The Oregon coast is beautiful.
It's true. It is. It's lovely. What are you drinking tonight?
Thank you for asking. This is called Ithafa. It's a Western Cape Shiraz.
I'm sorry, what?
Ithafa. It's spelled like the college Ithaca, only with an F instead of a C.
I thought you had slurred your words.
You thought that I had a lisp. Ithafa. It's fucked. It's a fucked. No, that's really what it's called. It's a South African Shiraz.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's great. That sounds lovely.
And we have one new hello. We have one new Chaos Kid club member.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Who's that?
That is Joanna Yu. Thank you for joining the club.
Hello, Joanna.
Hello.
Thank you.
Good morning, Joanna. Like that?
Kind of.
All right.
Getting close.
Thank you.
Got to put a little more diaphragm in that, sissy.
Oh, put your back into it, as Ice Cube would say.
That's right.
Oh, man.
So I think you are in charge of telling me about something awful today.
I am. And you know what? It's not, well, I don't want to say it's not awful because it is, but it's low key compared to what we normally have here on Crime, Wine, and Chaos. I didn't mean to do that, but I think it'll be, I'm interested in hearing your perspective. Okay. So as
low key, absolutely, compared to last week's crime.
The one that gave me nightmares? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, did it really? I'm so sorry.
It doesn't take much. It was either that or the fact that I go to sleep every night with earbuds in and a true crime podcast playing, but we don't need to get into the weeds.
I mean, fair. Sure. So I'm not taking I don't have to take all the blame for that.
No. Like some weird subliminal messaging is happening in my sleep. Okay, so I'm weirdly fascinated. I think people become fascinated with the thing that they fear the most. Do you think that's true?
I mean, maybe I do. I am kind of afraid of teenagers.
Same. Okay, well, I have an affinity to gravitating towards reading about stalker cases. Oh, this is like a full circle moment.
It's true.
That was option D in your list of things to talk about with stalkers. So here we go.
Was option D or C? It was definitely on the list. Great. Tell me a stalker story. I really need to hear a stalker story this week.
I knew that's what you needed. Well, this one is unique. So I came across, this one is really weird.
This one doesn't end with a guy duct taping himself to something, does it?
No. In fact,
okay.
I picked this episode because it was a female stalker, and much like the pathology of a female killer is so different than a man, it seems to be really different in stalking too. And so I'm interested to hear your perspective. So anyway, quick fun fact. Out of the 3 million incidents of stalking every year, fewer than a quarter of them are female offenders. Yeah. So we are going to Dallas, Texas. Jacqueline Fagan grew up in East Texas. She says there's not much to do there other than go to church, go out to eat, and go shopping. It is the Bible Belt, and people in this part of the state feel some type of way if you aren't a Christian. She had a pretty rough childhood, but she has a really strong relationship with her mom, who she says was always there for her. So,
I mean, good for her.
Good for her. Good for you, Jacqueline. Well, yeah. In 2017, at the age of 21, she met her husband, Jesse, through mutual friends. She said that things got serious with them really quickly. And the following year, in 2018, they had a daughter. And in 2019, they were married. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay. I mean, that seems like a pretty normal progression for people. I mean, doesn't seem super fast.
No, it's not fast. I think it's just she's 21.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, fair enough. Yeah.
So, when Jesse's ex-girlfriend found out that, so he has an ex-girlfriend and they have a son together. And when
how old is this guy? Her husband?
Same age. I think it was like a teen mom situation.
Oh, okay.
So he has a son with an ex. The ex-girlfriend finds out about, Jacqueline, and she wanted to know who was around her son regularly. This is when they were still dating.
Sure.
So she's going by Sandra to protect her identity. She's the victim in this story. She says that her and Jesse met as teenagers and were friends for several years. In 2012, they started dating, and in 2015, they had a son. But they had conflicting values. She is deeply religious, and Jesse is not. And so they weren't able to make the relationship work, and they broke up in 2016. So it was just a few months after their breakup that Jesse and Jacqueline started dating.
Oh.
Yeah, and they move really quickly, and she's like, hey, we have a kid. Like, who is this woman, right?
Sure.
Yeah, all normal stuff. So Sandra says that Jacqueline was really quiet and meek, and she says that she didn't mind that Jesse was dating someone. She was just concerned, like I said, about how quickly things were moving. And Sandra was concerned that Jesse would not be as engaged with his son when he was there with the new girlfriend there.
I mean, okay.
I mean, it can happen.
Yeah. I don't know.
Should we circle back to that?
It's not like you can control. I just mean, it's not like you can control how engaged she is with his son regardless, like I don't know. I don't know. I guess after a while, when you've co-parented with somebody, especially somebody whose parenting you question to a degree anyway, like it's hard to, like, you have to get to that. At least I had to get to a point where I could not even worry about that because there was nothing to be done about it. Right. And all it did was cause me worry. You know what I mean? Like it just took my peace. It just took my peace. So it's like, do I want peace or do I want to like fret over something I can't control?
I actually had, I felt just this huge, I mean, Jade's dad moved very quickly with his now wife. Like he was single and then all of a sudden a girlfriend lived with him. But I felt weirdly comforted that there was another set of eyes on my little kid while she was over there, because I don't even think he had one eyeball on her half the time, you know? So
I mean, let's be real.
Let's be real. There was no eyes. Now there's one person. And I was grateful to her. So on April 1st, 2017, Jesse and Sandra's infant son had a serious accident. So Sandra was at work and her cousin was watching the baby, and the cousin called her at work and said the baby wasn't breathing. Sandra immediately calls Jesse. I know. Both her and Jesse arrive at the hospital before the ambulance, and the doctors tell them that the baby didn't have a heartbeat, and he unfortunately ends up passing away. I know. And she didn't say like what the accident was, but yeah, I know. It's fucking terrible.
Oh no.
So Sandra obviously is devastated, and she unfortunately turns to drugs and alcohol, and she starts contacting Jesse frequently because of her grief and because she's, you know, drunk dialing her ex or whatever. And Jacqueline has some feelings about the inappropriate amount of communication between the two, and she's afraid that maybe the two of them want to rekindle their relationship, and it's putting a big strain on Jacqueline and Jesse's marriage.
You know what? I'm like the wrong person to ask about this stuff. You know what I mean? Because like, I do not take Jacqueline's side in this at all. I just don't. I can't. Like they lost a kid. That's devastating. Like they're bonded. Like it is what it is.
Right.
I don't know, man. Either be secure in your relationship or don't. But like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, so the breaking point was when Sandra had a new girlfriend, and she sent Jesse pictures of her girlfriend in her bra and underwear, and Jacqueline ends up seeing it and flips the fuck out, right? I mean,
so Sandra's a bisexual now?
Yes. Yes.
Even though she's like hardcore religious in the Bible Belt.
Yes. She's going through
that's weird. I mean, okay, fair enough. Yeah, because drugs and alcohol, and she's going through it. She's exploring. She's finding herself. She's maybe even lost her faith. Maybe she lost her faith.
She might
has a beef with God right now.
Well, sure,
like, that would be legitimate.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So Sandra does apologize to Jacqueline, and she acknowledges that she messed up, but she says that she isn't going to stop communicating with Jesse because they had a son together that they lost. And this really pisses Jacqueline off. And she decides that she wants to get revenge.
Jacqueline wants to get revenge?
Okay.
On a grieving.
Yes.
On a grieving mother of a. Okay.
This is where shit gets cray. Okay.
Oh, because it's just been like normal drama up till now.
Smooth sailing. Now we're getting into it. Okay. Yeah. So Jacqueline waited for more than a year to get revenge so that Sandra wouldn't suspect it was her.
Oh, this is a dish served cold situation.
She's playing the long game. But here's the thing. Oftentimes, like most people, well, I'll just speak for myself, have been plagued with jealousy or low self-esteem, and in a moment acted like a crazy pants. And when your emotions aren't heightened anymore and you're thinking logically, you're like, okay, queen, get it together.
Right. Like a year later, picture is like that is like holding tight to that white hot resentment and like petting it and stroking it and keeping it close.
Yes.
Like loving it and nurturing it and like feeding it and my precious my precious resentment.
Yes,
this
that
is
was
mine.
That was also
mine.
a whole year where she could have thought, this is a woman who just lost her baby. Like, have some perspective. A whole year. Nope. So she says that her goal was to scare Sandra. Why? You look like your mouth is in the shape of wanting to say why.
I don't understand. Scare her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So by 2019, Sandra is married and has another child. And Jacqueline starts by leaving a picture of Sandra with a red pentagram drawn over her face and a note that said, "Hi, Sandra."
Okay. I mean, this is like 12-year-old shit right here. I mean, really, that's like, ooh, isn't it spooky? It's a pentagram. Like what? Okay.
Well, because Sandra is deeply religious and Jacqueline thinks she's going to get her where it's going to freak her the fuck out the most.
Satanic panic.
Satanic
is her
panic.
Plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Then in June of that year at around 2 a.m., Jacqueline drives to Sandra's home and she leaves this "Hi, Sandra" pentagram thing on her front porch. So when Sandra leaves for work the following morning, she finds it on her porch and she's fucking terrified. I mean...
Oh, it worked.
Yeah, the scariest part of that whole thing is the "Hi, Sandra."
I think the scariest part about the whole thing is like somebody came to my fucking front door and left something on the fucking porch. Like that's the scariest part to me.
Correct. Well, that too.
Like
but
someone came to my house.
Of the artifacts left, the picture, the pentagram, it's the note that says "hi" that is spooky to me.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah. Ugh.
Hi, Sandra.
Oh, hey girl, hey. So she wakes up her husband. Yeah. They call the police, they file a report. So next, Jacqueline uses twine to make a doll, like a voodoo doll. And she puts...
Okay, now we're going into some Blair Witch shit is what's happening now?
Sure. Yeah. She puts pins through the head and through the heart.
Uh-huh.
Then she puts the doll in a jar and paints red Wiccan symbols on the outside of the jar, as well as Sandra's initials and her birthday.
Okay.
Who do you think
seriously,
you are?
like, okay, 13-year-old, maybe at this point. This is like 13-year-old behavior. Okay.
Uh-huh. So
next we're going to pull out a Ouija board. We're going to call upon the spirits, whatever. Okay.
Mm-hmm. The jar was left at Sandra's house just 2 days prior to her deceased son's birthday.
Oh.
What a fucking dick. What a delulu.
Okay. She's delulu.
That won't ever get old. That's my
shout out to Raw for delulu.
Our other sister.
There's 3 of us, you guys.
There are 3 of you. So Jacqueline then makes a fake Facebook page of one of Sandra's old coworkers, and friend requests her, and Sandra accepts the friend request so that she can then have access to Sandra's photos that are friends only access. And she grabs one and prints one off. She then ties it to a scroll with some Latin curse inside of it and leaves it on Sandra's car.
Okay, sidebar. This is reminding me of that weird, creepy doll that you and Mom used to send back and forth to each other and freak each other out with.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's what I thought when I was watching this. God, that doll
you
got
guys
tossed out with
Jade, how old was she? Was she like 4 when she made it?
Uh-huh.
She was like 4. She was in like preschool. She made some weird like paper doll, but it had like yarn hair and it was just weird and creepy looking and nobody liked it. But like, what are you going to do when your 4-year-old makes a thing? And so then for like a long time, Amber and Mom used to like leave it for each other in weird places to freak each other out.
Oh my God. The doll had button eyes, but it was 2 different buttons and one was much larger than the other.
Yes, the whole thing was just so creepy and weird.
The last trade-off was I wrapped it for Mom as a Christmas present, and I think it got thrown out with the wrapping paper.
Thrown away with like the recycling wrapping paper and stuff at Christmas. Oh,
yeah,
no.
yeah. So Jacqueline says through all this that she had no idea that what she was doing was illegal. It was just jokesies.
Is it? Is it illegal at this point? Like, I don't know anything about the law. So one of these days you're going to have to bail me out, I'm sure.
It's all right.
Just saying.
You're like, I didn't know.
Because you know what they say.
Huh?
Ignorance of the law does not exempt you from the law.
Darn
Unfortunately.
Oh my God. So, Sandra again calls.
I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back on the bail money. Though.
I have that just
like
set aside for somebody that needs it because it's bound to happen. It's like, what did you do?
Well, with us three? Yeah.
With anybody in my circle, it's probably going to happen.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So she calls the police. They take the scroll and the picture. They have this Latin curse translated, and it basically says that this person wants Sandra dead.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's also a death threat, and yes, that is illegal.
Right. That is illegal. That I knew. That I knew. I didn't know that.
You're like, I didn't know. I just said I wanted them to die. I'm like, uh-oh, cutie, not supposed to do that. Oopsie daisy. Oh my God. Okay, so the police put security cameras outside of Sandra's home. This is like pretty, I don't know if they just don't have a lot going on in this town, but this is like some good effort.
I was going to say like that is for like a low grade stalking effort. Yeah.
Yep. So in October of 2019, Sandra and the investigating officer review security camera footage together after the latest incident. And the camera shows a vehicle pulling up near Sandra's home. It's a small car with a hatchback, and right away, Sandra knows that it is Jesse's car. You then see someone get out of the car and leave items on Sandra's car. You can't see the face, but based on the stature and the walk, both Sandra and the investigators believe it's a woman. So, of course, they both believe that it's Jacqueline, Jesse's wife. But the footage shows that there is a second person in the car.
Oh. Oh, is Jessie in on this shit? Or she pulled in her bestie?
Wait for it. On November 6th, 2019, the investigators pay Jacqueline a visit at her home. Jacqueline tells the detectives right away that she was just messing with Sandra. Yeah. And at this time, Jacqueline is staying with her mom. So it's so funny too, because I did a bunch of digging as to like what's going on with her and Jesse, if they're still together. I couldn't find anything. I can't imagine that they're not because this seems solid. So, anyway, it turns out that the person in the car with Jacqueline was her mom.
Her mom?
Her
is
mom.
in on this with her? Because Jacqueline and her mom have a very tight relationship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So mom comes out.
Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine Jade comes to you and says, I've been sitting on this for a year, Mom, and I'm going to get this broad. I'm going to get her. I'm going to scare the crap out of her. And you're like, okay, baby, let's go. Like, what?
No. I would say, okay, honey, let's call your therapist right now.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. Let's get some extra appointments in this week.
This is not the first time you've told the story where mom was as crazy pants and questionable as child.
Yes. The apple is falling too far.
The Josh and Ashley story.
Yes. So mom comes out and she just to say, like, you know, I can be a pretty harsh judge of my own abilities to parent. And then I hear stories like this and I think, no, you know what? I'm doing okay. Oh, totally. And don't get me wrong. I've had moments where I believe that someone has wronged my child. And I have that feeling of like, I will fucking throat punch you.
Don't say the words. Don't say the words.
But I know not to actually do it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, after a year goes by, right? I've calmed down. God, Jesus. Yeah. So mom comes out and she says that she didn't think it was illegal. She thought it was funny and that it would teach Sandra a lesson. Ha ha ha. And
what is the lesson here?
To stay away from my man. Here's the thing. When I said that Jacqueline was only 21, this is why, in my opinion, it's problematic.
Yeah.
If this is your response to feeling not good inside or feeling like your relationship is being threatened, then you're too young to be in a marriage.
I mean, but her mom is like in on it. How old is her mom?
Oh, God. She's a fucking mom. I don't know.
I'm saying it's not always about the age. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. For sure. For sure.
Mm.
Yeah. So they're both arrested. And Christy even went on record and said, like, this is ridiculous for dropping off a couple of items.
Oh.
Yeah.
She's one of those. Okay.
She thinks ignorance does make her exempt from the law.
I'm here to tell you.
Christy, it doesn't.
It does not.
So, okay, this prosecutor, I just want to say as an aside, this has nothing to do with anything, and maybe this is rude, but I'm watching this prosecutor speak who prosecuted this case, and I thought he had fake yellow teeth in.
Oh, no.
That's
how yellow they were?
It was bad. I was like, sir, you need to see a doctor, I think.
Sidebar. Let's talk about this guy's teeth.
Don't tell me you don't have a dental plan at the prosecutor's office. Okay?
Right?
I mean, it was bad.
He probably is a hardcore smoker. He's probably a hardcore smoker.
Oh, sure. And working like 80 hours a week, and he's got no time for a fucking dental appointment.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So in order to meet the requirements of stalking in the state of Texas, there needs to be a reasonable belief that the victim is in danger.
Okay.
I mean,
they went to a lot of effort to find out who it was if it's not a situation where she's in danger.
Agreed. So at this point, though, Sandra just really wants to be left alone, and she wants some peace, and she's got no interest in testifying. So the prosecutor offers a plea deal to both Jacqueline and Christy. They could each have either 3 years in prison or 8 years of probation.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. You know what? Here's the thing. Okay. Oh, you're almost done, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay,
is this taking too long?
No. I'm about to go on a tangent.
Okay.
I'm about ready to go on a tangent, and I want to wait. I don't want to sidebar for too long when you're almost there.
Yeah. So they both take the 8 years in prison, and one of the conditions.
You mean probation?
Oh yeah. What did I say?
You said in prison.
Oh, no, 8 years probation in lieu of prison. And
right.
One of the conditions of the 8 years of probation is that they are not allowed to contact Sandra, but Jacqueline and Christy are not allowed to speak to each other.
Oh!
Snap.
What? 8 years without talking to their mom/daughter? Like the... That's crazy pants.
I know.
There's no way that they did that. There's no way they did that.
Well, it's not been 8 years yet, has it? 2019.
No, there's no way. This all went down in like 2019.
Yeah.
No.
So Jacqueline says that she understands that she deeply affected Sandra's life and caused her trauma. Christy, however, gives zero shits. She don't care. And that was my fucking crime case this week. I was not prepared for it to be so fucking weird. So
where did you find this story?
There's a show on Netflix called I Am a Stalker.
Oh, I have scrolled by that show. This was all in Dallas, right?
Yes.
Or a suburb of Dallas. Okay, this is a big city. They spent all these resources to capture this mom and daughter who were like leaving nonsense on Sandra's door, and like where is this effort when actual dangerous men are stalking and murdering like women that don't want to date them anymore or whatever?
That's a great question.
What the fuck?
That is
I feel like I don't feel great about how this whole story went down, just because of the fact that, like, if it was like an ex-husband who was doing this, I don't think they would have. I don't know. I feel like they would have let this guy off.
I don't either. And I think that's one problem. The other problem is and I don't know what kind of court system or different divisions of court Texas has. But to me, Jacqueline would be a prime candidate for mental health court. Like, she needs some help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. Very strange. Very fucking strange.
Very weird story with a very weird outcome.
I think, like, I'm trying to picture 21-year-old me of having jealousy and insecurities take such a strong hold that I'm acting crazy pants.
I don't think I ever felt that way about not like that.
No, God, not to this level. I think I have let my mind run away from me and think like, I'm sure she was thinking that there really was some sort of affair going on and all the things, but you got to talk yourself off that ledge. I don't know. I feel weirdly sad for Jacqueline because I think she's really struggling with a lot of things and doesn't know how to channel it properly. I don't know.
I mean, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
No, clearly.
But to do this to a grieving mother.
That's the part that's really gross.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And her mom, like, oh my goodness, what is going on there? Well, I mean, again, like you said, the apple not falling too far from the tree.
Yeah, totally. Anyway.
Well, okay. Well, sister, that was weird and unexpected.
You're welcome.
No, thank you for that. No, you know what? There's no nightmares here on that one. There's no nightmares.
Mm-mm.
And actually, it's probably a good thing because my chaos story today is not going to make you happy.
Oh, great.
Yep. So I'm going to tell you about Jamison Bachman. Have you heard that name?
No, it's a cool name.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start out the story kind of closer to the end and then work our way through. It is March of 2017. Alex Miller was looking for a roommate to rent out the spare room in her apartment where she lived in Chestnut Hill, which is a really nice neighborhood in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Her previous roommate had moved out and she was struggling to pay her bills. She was relying on her mom to keep her afloat while she searched for a new roommate. Her mom was kind of on her ass, like, when are you going to get a new roommate? Alex was 31 at the time. So she had put an ad on Craigslist, as many of us have. And after about 2 weeks and tons of interviews with lots of applicants, she was contacted by a man named Jed Creek.
Okay.
Jed was coming from New York, but he was originally from Philly, and he was looking for affordable housing so he could be closer to his mother, who was aging and ailing, as well as to help his brother, who was going through some lawsuits.
Oh.
Jed had a law background. So even though he wasn't a lawyer, he did have a tutoring business online, and he was offering mentoring and tutoring to students and specifically law students. And Alex perused his website. He looked totally legit. In that initial phone call, Jed asked for the apartment address, like right out the gate. And Alex was not comfortable giving him that information, like on their first call.
Right.
So they arranged to meet at a coffee shop. Well, yeah, right. So they arranged to meet at a coffee shop. The next day, Jed bought Alex a latte. He was dressed in khakis and a Lacoste shirt. He was clean cut, well groomed. She described him as kind of tall, dark, and handsome.
Oh.
He had jet black hair, really good looking dude. Jed told her that he had a dog. So Alex goes home to get her dog, and they have their dogs meet right before, like, that's also crucial, right? Can the dogs get
they
along?
both have pets. Yeah.
Yes, totally. So they all hung out in the park. The dogs were really happy. So they walked from the park down to her apartment, and they sat at her dining room table while the dogs took a nap together. And it was all really great. Jed is checking all the boxes, Alex asked Jed when he can move in, and he tells her he's staying at an Airbnb and it's draining his bank account, and he can move in that night if she'll let him.
Oh, shit. Wow.
So, yeah. So, Alex is kind of desperate for a roommate. She's been trying to find one for a while, the money situation and all that, right? And Alex tells him yeah, you can, but I need you to fill out this application. It's required by property management. And Jed says he's totally fine with that. And he moved in that night.
Okay.
When he arrives, he has 6 or 8 Tupperware bins. I think like those big, like.
Yeah, totes,
those big
goats. That's what I have.
Ones. Yeah, big totes goats. Exactly. He had the dog, Zachary, a cat, and a fish in a fishbowl.
She didn't know about the cat?
She didn't know about the cat or the fish. And Alex is actually allergic to cats. So she was kind of like annoyed right out the gate. Right. But Jed assures Alex that the cat, right?
Yeah.
It's like annoying. Right. But he tells her that the cat won't be an issue because the cat is quiet and shy and will never come out of his room.
Okay.
No worries. Okay.
Uh-oh.
He puts the bins in the corner of his room. He pulls out a comforter, some sheets, some pillows, and that was it. No furniture, not even a bed.
Is this a furnished room or just an empty room?
No, it's an empty room.
Oh, okay.
So it's weird, but it's the first night. But then it doesn't stop being weird.
Okay.
So Alex leaves the application that he was supposed to fill out on the dining room table and reminds Jed to fill it out, but it just sits there, untouched. And in the first few days of him being there, Alex notices some of her stuff is moved around.
What? Like what?
Some plants in the windowsill go missing. The lights weren't working because he took the light bulbs.
Oh, no.
And then one day she came home and all 6 of her dining room chairs were gone.
What? What the fuck? Uh-oh.
So Alex goes to Jed's bedroom door and she knocks and she says, "Where are the chairs?" And he says, "They're all in here in my room."
What's he doing? He made himself like a couch?
He needed a desk and a table. He asked her. He asked her, why do you need 6 chairs anyway? There's only 2 people in the house.
Did he leave 2 out there?
2 chairs.
Oh, okay.
So then he puts 2 back out there, but he kept the rest in his room.
'Cause it's not your stuff, weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
So Jed and Alex had agreed on the bills that Jed would pay, but when it came time for them to be paid and Alex asked Jed to pay them, he just laughed at her in a very sinister way. And when the Verizon bill came due after he had been in the apartment for a month, Alex told him she expected him to pay it, and he shouted at her, "You'll see me in court."
What? What? Oh no.
This is my space now. This is my space now, he would say to her.
Oh, no.
And now Alex is very uncomfortable. This is not working out. And so she turns to the person she relies on the most, Mom, and says, "Mom, help. What am I going to do?" So Mama Badass starts digging. She gets on the interwebs to figure out who the fuck this douchebag is, and she comes up with nothing on Jed Creek. This guy does not exist anywhere that the internet can find. So she puts his telephone number in the search, and that's when she finds out who Jed Creek really is.
Oh my gosh. Just like other Mama Badass from Renton. Wow. Also, can you imagine coming home every day and that's your roommate?
No.
Like, is she sleeping with her door locked? Is that an option? Like,
I don't know, but I would.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than being uncomfortable in your own home. God.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry. So who is this guy?
It's okay. No, his real name is Jamison Bachman. And this guy has a documented history of being a squatter.
No.
And we're talking articles have been written about this guy. That kind of history of being a squatter.
Holy shit.
Oh. And he also had a history of being violent.
Uh-oh. Okay, speaking of ignorance to or just the law in general, this is one area that I'm not very familiar with, but my limited knowledge of it frustrates the fuck out of me. Squatters' laws are so like it. I'm trying to understand what the thought process was back when that law was passed, because it seems nuts to me. I hope that you get into that a little bit.
Okay. So in Philly, as is the case in a lot of places in the U.S., once you have established tenancy and all that requires is having mail sent to that address, you are legally a tenant, whether or not you have a lease or a personal agreement with the actual tenant, and you cannot be removed without due legal process, which takes months and sometimes longer.
Oh my God.
I think this is actually the benefit of people fighting on behalf of tenants, not on behalf of squatters, if that makes sense.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So what else did Mama find? Well, here we go. 12 years earlier, in 2005, Arlene meets Jamison Bachman in the park with his dog. This is in New York.
Okay.
They talked and became friendly, and then they became friends, and eventually they started casually dating. Arlene describes him as very fun with a good sense of humor, and they had a lot of good times. He had a law degree, but he had failed the bar, and he got a job as a teacher at a private school. I think he was teaching history to 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and he was allowed to live in the house that was on the property next to the school.
Okay.
But about 3 or 4 months into the job, he started getting complaints. The homework was too difficult, and he would get frustrated with the kids, and he was really hard on the kids. Jamison thought he was going to run the school. He was going to be the next dean, and Arlene told him he was getting ahead of himself, which made him very angry. And he was glaring at her, and she got really scared, and she left. That was the first time that Arlene was afraid of him. She swore she wouldn't have anything to do with him after that. But about 3 weeks later, he called and he apologized and said he was going through some stuff and that would never happen again. And he weaseled his way back into Arlene's life.
A tale as old as time.
Not long after that, he was fired from the private school and they were evicting him from the house they had provided him. So Arlene tells him he could stay with her for a couple months until he got on his feet.
No, Arlene. No. Also, somebody who has a tendency to violent outbursts should not be teaching children. I mean, not that they knew that.
Right.
But yeah, that's scary. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And this is when Arlene's nearly 4-year ordeal began.
4 years? Oh my God.
The very next day after Jamison moved in, he rearranged her furniture.
Did he make himself a desk?
And as the months went on, he didn't work or make any moves to find a new place. He started getting mail at her place, and then she knew she was stuck with him. She went to the police, but there was nothing they could do. She wanted to change the locks, but that was illegal. He had established tenancy, and he refused to leave.
Interesting. It's illegal for her to change the locks when he has established.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
By the second year, she was done having any kind of relationship with him, and she moved into the spare room.
Oh, they were sharing a room? Like they were still a couple?
Okay. Kind of, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
There were times when she wanted to just leave, but she knew that Bachman wouldn't pay rent, and she didn't want to screw over her landlord.
Yeah, and her own credit and rental history and all the things because she's
all of it.
Yeah, God.
On October 13th, 2010, she hands him the cable bill and tells him he has to start paying it because she is not paying it anymore. And he refused to pay anything. Arlene lost it, and she slapped him, and he started choking her.
Oh, God.
And she thought at that point that he was going to kill her, so she kicked him really hard with her knee. She ran out of the apartment, and they both called 911.
God, good for her. Jesus Christ.
2 police officers show up, 1 for each of them. The cop talking to Arlene tells her to go to court in the morning and get an order of protection. But Bachman beat her to it, and he got one against her. So apparently, neither order required the other to leave the apartment.
What?
So
they're usually like a mandatory, you have to stay this many yards away from each other. What kind of order of protection?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So they each have an order of protection against the other, and they're both in the apartment for about 6 weeks. And then on November 17th, Arlene goes to her landlord and tells him what's going on and gets him to go down with her to start eviction proceedings. When she gets back to the apartment, Bachman is just glaring at her, giving her the creeps, and so she leaves. While she's out, her landlord calls, tells her the cops had come by looking for her.
What?
She has no idea why, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she goes down to the precinct to see what's up, and the detective tells her he has to arrest her for going after Bachman with a knife.
Oh, no. This guy is fucking nuts. Okay.
Because,
Wow.
of course, that didn't happen, but
No.
Bachman told them that it did. So they toss her in holding, and the next day she goes in front of a judge who tells her she can't go back to her home, and she's on probation for a year.
Wait, she was sentenced at her first hearing? Just like, here you go, you're on probation?
Yeah, it was a...
Yep. Or those are her... Okay. Oh, my God.
So in order to go back to her apartment, she had to get a court order, which, of course, took time. And by the time she was able to get into her apartment, Bachman had taken 2 of her cats, the sick ones that needed extra care, to a kill shelter.
What the okay.
And he
No.
And he kept her other 2 cats and wouldn't let her have them.
Oh, that's awful.
And now Arlene's landlord has to deal with getting him out. This poor guy, the landlord, went through the ringer trying to evict Bachman because Bachman knew the law better than the court system.
Oh, God, that's scary.
He managed to stay in Arlene's apartment, not paying for anything, for a whole year after he got her out of there.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
In February 2012, Sonia and her partner of 10 years separated. Prior to that, in 2006, Sonia had taken out a loan from her pension to put a down payment on a brand new condo on the beach. It was to be her forever home. Now that she was single and her partner no longer helping pay the mortgage, she went to Craigslist to find a roommate.
Oh, no.
She had 2 serious inquiries. One was a successful lawyer, and the other was a young couple with their child.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Sonia's obvious choice was the lawyer, but we know who that was.
Oh, God. No.
It was Jamison Bachman, and Sonia was about to enter into a roommate nightmare that would end in her losing her condo.
No. This is awful.
The first 3 months were great. They got along well. He was cordial. He treated his animals well, which was very important to Sonia because she was a veterinary nurse. This spoke to his character in her mind. He had a dog, Zachary, and 2 cats.
Oh, yes. That he stole.
Arlene's cats.
Mm-hmm.
And then after 3 months, he stopped paying rent.
God damn it. This guy.
Tension started building. Sonia had to work overtime to pay her bills. In September, she went to court to file for eviction. She also wanted to change the locks and lock him out, but we all know she couldn't legally do that.
Mm-hmm.
She got so desperate that she got another roommate. She put a tent in her living room and a woman moved in with her 2 little dogs.
Sorry. How do you advertise that? Do you want to live in a tent in my living room? Okay.
I mean, this speaks to how hard it is for people to get by and pay for their rent and shit,
I know.
Right? Like,
yeah,
this is how desperate people get to stay in a living situation.
Okay, I have a sidebar
now there are
that has nothing to do with
anything. Sidebar.
Sorry.
Great.
Okay, do you ever watch Hoarders?
Of course, we talked about this like 2 episodes ago.
Oh, did I already tell you the story about when they've unveiled a person living in a tent in a yard?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so
no, but I remember that one. No, where that was that you're talking about the one where they like were cleaning out the yard and they discovered somebody living in the hoard that wasn't the person who's
and then became that a part of the show.
Yeah, and he was like, "Yeah, this place does need to get cleaned up."
Yes, that's my fucking favorite. I'm just imagining tent lady like, this guy's got to go. What are we doing?
So now there are 3 dogs, 3 cats, 3 people in 1 bathroom. Within days, the new roommate calls Sonia at work. Bachman is yelling at her about her dogs, and he's scaring this woman.
Oh.
She also said that she is positive that Bachman is going into her tent when she's not there.
Wow.
So Sonia tells her to call the police if she feels threatened. And when Sonia came home and confronted Bachman about it, he said, I don't give a fuck about her.
Whoa.
And now Bachman is scaring Sonia too.
Wow.
And the woman renting the tent took her 2 dogs and left.
Oh, no. Now Sonia doesn't have an ally.
So, no, and she's not doing well financially. So eventually Bachman is served with eviction papers, and Sonia is locking her bedroom door and putting a chair against it. He has made it clear that he is angry and on the edge of doing something to her.
I can't.
She also figured out
living like that. It sounds fucking terrible.
Wow. Well, I did have that one weird living situation when I was in Lake City when I was like 19.
Yes. Did you have to lock
that guy
your door?
Stuart?
He was like
here was the thing
with you, right?
Yes, and he was like old and he was an alcoholic and he would get wasted and like pound on my door. He also had a key. And there was one night when he came in fucking drunk. He unlocked the door. He came in and he like climbed into my bed and like grabbed me and like held on to me and like drunkenly like ranted and raved to me, and I couldn't do anything because he overpowered me and my lock was fucking useless.
Oh, God. That is terrifying. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, sister. He had a key to your room?
I mean, yes.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
I'm sorry.
That was a long time ago. That's fine. You know what? I didn't even remember it until just this moment. So I'm fine. So anyway, yes. So she's like putting a locking the door, putting a chair against it, like under the handle, right? So she also figured out that he was going into her room when she wasn't home. And so she confronted him about it. And this confrontation was very tense. He came at Sonia and he tried to egg her on into a physical confrontation, but she didn't take the bait. She said, I am not one of your young, innocent girls that you can take advantage of. You're not even worth the breath that I'm breathing on you. And she walked away, leaving him seething. Oh,
good for her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So Sonia is kind of like a 5'2" badass. She's got like a brown belt, like a level 3 brown belt in like jujitsu or something. She's fucking rad. Yeah. So before the court date for the eviction came, Hurricane Sandy arrived. And Sonia left her condo to go to a safe place. So when she came back 2 weeks later, Bachman was gone.
Oh, okay.
But because of all that time that he didn't pay her rent, Sonia could never recover financially from that. And she lost her condo to foreclosure.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And of course, there were others. He just hopped from one roommate to the next over and over and over again. At least a dozen people would fall victim to his ruse, putting on a charming front.
Is this all women that he's doing this to?
No, it's not just women. It's mostly women, but there were definitely stories of men that he did this to as well. Okay. So he would put on this charming front to get in the door, and then he would just take over the house, refuse to pay for anything, refuse to leave, intimidate his roommates, and stay as long as he could get away with it.
Wow.
Wash, rinse, repeat.
Wow.
But who the fuck is this guy, right?
No shit.
So Jamison Bachman grew up in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, which is just outside of Philly. Most people knew him as Jammy. According to one of his childhood friends, Bachman always had a bad temper, even as a child. Bachman talked about how terrible things were with his family, how brutal his father could be. His mother described his father as an animal sometimes. Bachman talked about how people had expectations of him and everyone was so disappointed in him. He also had a sense of righteous indignation about things that were unfair in the world. He was especially incensed by a bully, ironically.
What the fuck, dude? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Another childhood friend of his described him as having it together. He was confident, relatively popular, and a good student. He recalled a time when they were talking after school one day, and he told Bachman about some of the girls in their school that he wanted to go out with, and Bachman claimed to have gone out with all of them.
Of course, sure.
And this friend said he didn't call bullshit on Bachman at the time, but he knew that it wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
This friend also said that Bachman had all the ingredients for success. He was smart, charming, good looking. He was the superstar of their high school. He went to a really good college. I saw differing reports on which colleges he went to, but he definitely went to a good college. but he didn't do well in college. This friend reconnected with him a couple years into college, and Bachman was kind of stalling. He was dark and morose, is the way his friend described it. Not the same person he had known most of their lives.
Mm-hmm.
Bachman tells him that he was having dinner one night at a frat house with someone they had both gone to high school with. And in the middle of dinner, someone came out from the kitchen with a meat cleaver and decapitated this friend in front of Bachman.
Okay.
According to this friend, Bachman had embellished some of the details, but it was mostly true.
No way.
This murder did happen.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I saw, like, in one of the stories, one of the articles I read talked about like how it was its own weird true crime tale of like the reason this one guy killed the other guy was for like showing up to the library and eating food in the library after he had been told not to. Yeah, it's crazy pants. I didn't even dive into that one.
Okay.
So this traumatic incident changed Bachman intensely.
Yeah.
Bachman had an older brother, Harry, who he seemed to have a good relationship with. His brother was really successful while Bachman continued to disappoint. Their grandfather, who Bachman revered, told Bachman, "You were the horse I bet on and you let me down."
Ouch, Grandpa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bachman got his law degree later in life at the age of 45, but he took the bar exam once and failed it, and he never tried again.
Oh, so there was some truth to what he was saying, I suppose.
Yes. One of his childhood friends tracked him down after not being in contact with each other for 30 years. He found Bachman on Facebook and they reignited their friendship. So they texted regularly, and Bachman would often say, quote, "I don't know why I keep running into these crazy women that do these things to me."
Okay, dude. Wow.
Yeah, he was always the victim in his narrative.
Mm-hmm. We've known some people like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. He told his friend things like, "I should go medieval on them."
Okay.
Yeah, his friend thought, well, he's just being dramatic and like hyperbolic, you know,
yeah.
like that he didn't really mean it.
You never think that people actually mean that kind of shit.
We talk about this all the time, right?
I know.
So we don't think that no one can imagine that somebody that they know is actually like a sociopath or
God,
going to be a murder, whatever, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So back to Alex. She's working part-time as a paralegal in a law firm, so she consulted with them, and they helped her draft a letter to Bachman. And they also advised her to get him out as soon as possible, telling her she was in danger.
Yes,
right?
She is.
So in May of 2017, Alex and her mom tried to enlist the landlord in the fight, but the landlord wouldn't have anything to do with it. Of course, Bachman at this point was basically an expert in tenant law. He was a serial squatter who had terrorized roommates up and down the East Coast, and he wasn't leaving except on his own terms.
Did you get a sense of if these are like apartment complexes or like just a single landlord of a condo or of a room where they don't have the capacity to battle these kinds of things, you know?
So these are always like roommate situations.
Right, but who's the landlord?
Right. So so it depends. It's been different. It was different in different cases. In Alex's case, she was in some kind of complex. Arlene, she was in like an apartment that was like one of two apartments that was above a store in New York, and the landlord was just this guy who like owned the building. Right?
I don't know why. I just assumed that larger complexes would have processes in place for exactly this kind of thing, you know, whereas like a private owner.
Well, they have a process. Well, they have a process in place where he was supposed to fill out that application that he never filled out.
No shit.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
So Alex devises a plan to make Bachman so uncomfortable that he wouldn't want to stay.
Okay.
So she throws a party that includes all the things that Bachman hated: smoking, drinking, rap music, loud noise. She invites everyone she knows to come hang out and disturb the fuck out of him.
I love her.
Mm-hmm. They party late into the night, drinking and smoking pot. Some people blow cigarette smoke under his bedroom door. They crank loud rap and punk rock music, and everyone is talking about him and his shitty squatter past. Around like 11:30, he comes out of his room and he sees that the apartment is littered with quotes from his website and copies of the article from the city paper about who he really was and what he does.
Oh, God, I want to invite to this party.
I know, right? So now he knows that she knows who he is.
Mm-hmm.
So he grabs his dog and he walks out of the apartment. One of Alex's friends took the door handle off his bedroom door so he couldn't lock himself in there. So he comes back with the dog and he's pissed and he like slams his bedroom door and then he realizes he can't lock it. He's fucking pissed.
Because that's not illegal to remove that lock.
Right. So Alex turns the music up even louder. They've got Jamison whiskey is what they're drinking.
Love it. Mm-hmm.
But eventually the whiskey runs out. Everyone's tired and they all go home. So the next morning, Alex wakes up. It's really early. It's earlier than normal. She gets up around like 4:30. She's in the bathroom brushing her teeth, and Bachman comes out of his room, which is unusual because he does not get up early, goes into the kitchen, and Alex can feel like he's uncomfortable. And she's feeling pretty smug about it. And then the bathroom door swings open and Bachman comes in and grabs her by the throat and pushes her against the wall and starts choking her. And he gets in her face.
Oh my God.
And he says, "You made a grave mistake, you stupid girl."
Oh, geez.
And he walks out and goes back to his room.
Okay, my first thought when the party was over and everyone left was like, no, you can't all decide collectively to kick a hornet's nest all night and then leave Alex by herself.
By herself?
Yeah, why didn't people stay?
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, Alex is filled with adrenaline and anger now. And so she runs over and she throws open his door and she yells, "What did you just say to me?" And he's in there feeding his cat with a knife in his hand. He came at her and slammed the door. Her leg is still like in the doorway. So he's like slamming the door over and over and over again, like at least 10 times with her leg between the door and the jamb. And then he slashes at her legs with the knife.
Jesus Christ.
So Alex calls the police and her mom shows up. The police are already there. Alex is being interviewed. She is clearly roughed up. She's bleeding. They see the marks on her throat. They see the stab wounds on her leg, and they arrest Bachman.
Thank God.
While he's in jail, Alex gets an order of protection with eviction. And in this window of reprieve, Alex pulls together all of Bachman's stuff to get it out of her apartment.
Oh, God. Is she able to change the locks now?
I think so, yes.
Oh, God.
Bachman's brother, Harry, bailed him out of jail.
Harry, no. That's not the time when you use the bail.
Ultimately, Alex lost her apartment anyway because the property management declined to renew her lease due to all the shit that went down because of Bachman.
I can't say that I blame them. You're a liability.
Alex
Sorry.
Yeah. Alex had to return all of Bachman's things, so they met at the police department for the drop-off, but she did not return his dog. While he was in jail, it had been adopted by one of Alex's friends. And Bachman was pissed. And he said to Alex, "You are a dead bitch."
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, he fucking
kind of like he took Arlene's cats.
2 of Arlene's cats and took the other ones. Shit. Anyway, sorry. I'm mad about that still.
That's okay. No, we hate this guy. So he says to Alex, "You are a dead bitch. You're fucking dead, bitch. I'll kill you." So Alex marched right into that police department and reported him for that shit. He just violated the protection order because you can't threaten people with death threats. That's illegal.
No. Thank you for tuning in to Law 101. Goodbye.
So a few weeks later, Bachman's arrested for that violation. And October 28th, 2017, Harry bailed him out again.
Harry!
So in text to his friend, the one that had ignited their friendship after 30 years and had been in touch with him, Bachman was clearly very angry with his brother. It took his brother too long to bail him out, and he lost his animals, and that was his brother's fault for not bailing him sooner.
Whoa, this entitled piece of shit.
And Harry wouldn't give Bachman a place to live.
Why not, Harry? He's a great roommate.
Great roommate. So he's furious with his brother. So the friend reaches out to Harry, and Harry tells him, don't get involved. This is a family issue. Like, just don't worry about it. On November 4th, 2017, police responded to a call to the home of Bachman's brother, Harry, in Elkins Park. This is the same little town that they grew up in. Harry's wife had called for a welfare check after Harry failed to show up in Albany, New York, as expected the night before. Harry had sent a text to his wife the night before saying, guess who just arrived?
No.
When the police went to see if Harry was home, his car was not parked in front of the house. The officers entered the house. The dining room showed clear signs of a violent struggle. There was a hole in the drywall of the dining room. There was a broken plate and a computer keyboard that had been smashed. There were blood spatters and smears all over the floor. A blood trail ran to the door at the top of the basement stairs and all the way down those stairs. And at the bottom, they found Harry's body in the basement, his head having sustained massive blunt force trauma.
No. Oh my God.
A pile of bloody clothes was found on the kitchen floor. The suspect had changed into Harry's clothes. Harry's cell phone was also found with a message about a recent charge at a nearby hotel. Detectives went to the hotel, and the hotel manager identified Jamison Bachman as the man who had checked into room 102.
Wow.
Search warrant in hand and tactical response team at the ready. They went to make entry into the room. When officers attempted to apprehend Bachman, he came at them swinging an axe.
An axe? Jesus, this guy is unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
He struck one officer in the face, another in the arm, and was eventually tased and taken into custody.
Wow.
Sidebar, if this has been a black man, he would have died in that hotel room.
Yes, he would have. Yeah. I mean, it always has perplexed me. Why not use the taser? Why can't you shoot them in the foot? If
there's
you're
so
trying
many
to
things.
just
I mean,
get them
so many
to
things.
stop,
I mean, yeah, exactly. So on December 8th, 2017, before he could make his first court appearance for the murder of his brother, Jamison Bachman hanged himself in his cell.
Wow.
And that is the story of Jamison Bachman.
God, that took a fucking hard left at the end. He killed his own brother.
Yep. That is the last 2 episodes of Worst Roommate Ever on Netflix, which is why I asked you if you'd ever watched that show.
Oh my God. All of
it's
it.
A 2-parter.
The squatting and the complaining that he lost his dog because his brother wasn't quick enough. All of that is such an egregious entitlement. And I'm trying to understand what that is.
It's crazy, right?
Yes.
It's crazy.
It is.
And the thing is like when I went searching, so I had watched this 2-part episode, these 2 episodes on this one, because I watched this Worst Roommate Ever like way back when it first came out, like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or whenever it was. And there's like 3 other episodes that are like one episode, and they're like normal kind of just bad roommate situations. And then there's this one, which is like, what the fuck is happening? And it ends, when it ends like that, you're like, whoa, that fucking escalated. And when I went looking, right, like I went looking for more, like just to make, to kind of dot I's and cross T's. And I found a couple articles, and like one of the articles was saying like, there were so many other stories of like squatting, like other victims of his squatting that like, and clearly, because like, I think that the title of one of the articles written about him was called Worst Roommate Ever. Like clearly the show had been inspired by Jamison. And there was like no reason for them to even do these other episodes. They should have just done like a more extensive dive into Jamison's story and talked about him more. I talked about his other victims and these other stories, because there were a bunch of other people that went through hell from his squatting in their fucking apartments or their house.
God, no shit, right? I cannot understand what fucking went wrong with that one. Oh, wow.
I can't even imagine, like, we are raised to be such good guests, right? Like, somebody asked me the other day, a friend of mine asked me the other day, like, oh, if I were to make you dinner, what would you want me to make? And I was like, well, I was raised to eat whatever is served and say thank you. Like, I can't even imagine, Like showing up at someone's house and being like, this is my house now. Like, what?
I know. Dibs on that dining room set, bitch. What? I'm sorry. It is day one.
I know.
Settle down. God.
You come home from work, your living room is just fully rearranged. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I would never. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. I can't. Yeah. It's so funny because the whole time I was thinking, like, isn't he uncomfortable? Clearly not.
Right?
But that like gives me the third party embarrassment tingles. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. It's like the scene in Back to the Future when he's playing the guitar and he gets way too into it. And then he realizes that nobody's dancing anymore and they're all just staring at him. I hate it every time. I can't. Every time.
Does your body get the tingles?
Yeah, no, I literally like I physically respond. Like I just, makes me so uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God. But he don't have that. Good for him.
No, he does not have that.
Zero fucks.
He doesn't have anything now.
No.
He does not have anything now. And it's crazy, right? Because this guy, when he moved in with Alex, he was like 60, but he looked like he was in his 40s. Like he was in really good shape. He was like 6'2", black hair, like well-groomed, really smart, really charming, really charismatic, like really good-looking guy. He had like all the things. There was no reason why he couldn't have just been successful in his life. There was no good reason for him to be. It was
and even
it sounds like a lot of work to me.
It really does. And even just like for him, not to like throw him any bones, but like living like a fucking nomad, like doesn't he feel like everything is in an upheaval, that he doesn't have his own
all the time
home base and like your stuff? I mean,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's so weird. It's all so weird. Anyway, so there it is, Sissy. There's my chaos.
Thanks for that. That fucking sucked.
You're so
oh, wow. Well,
anything for the good of the order?
Follow us on all the things. We're on the Facebook, the Insta, the Twitter. We've got a website that you can check out if you're so inclined, with some bios about us and links in there if you want to submit a story suggestion or say hi or, whatevs.
Yep. You can send us an email at crimewineandchaos@gmail.com. Amber reads the love letters. I read the hate mail. So
correct.
You can send that. You can follow me on Twitter at Misnomers. Amber's in a band.
I'm in a band, Tinfoil Top Hat, tinfoiltophat.com. We're also on all the socials. Check us out.
It's true.
Spotify, iTunes, all the things.
Yep. Wow. Well, thanks, sister.
Thank you.
That was motherfucking chaotic.
Bye.
Bye.
Crime, Wine, and Chaos is produced by 8th Direction Records. Artwork by Joshua M. Davis. Music by Paul Abner. If you would like to support the show, you can visit our Patreon page at crimewineandchaos.com/Patreon. Cheers.
She put a tent in her living room.
I ain't leaving this place without singing the blues.